on this computer. Okay. So dear students, we stopped last time over here where it says comprehension questions E. And the first question is, why is it a complex project to create a biosphere? Why is it a complex? We said last time, guys, complex does not mean just hard. It could mean hard, but it means that it requires a lot of work and a lot of energy. Okay, that's what complex means, or complicated, all right? Why is it a complex project to create a biosphere? Just because we as scientists, we as, let me say, people who are majoring in astronomy, all right, need to make sure that we have every element in this atmosphere, in this environment, you know, in balance with the others, okay? We have to make sure that oxygen is enough, CO2 is enough, plant life is enough, waste is not too much, water is enough, you know, sunlight is enough, because we said that if we have, you know, elements which are more than they should, or other elements which are less than they should, basically what will happen is that the biosphere or this environment will collapse. And everybody in this biosphere, not just buddy, not just everybody, not just every human being, but every, you know, let me say, form of life might, you know, die or let me say, break down and, you know, like end, all right? This is why it's a complex project, okay? Because it's very hard to make sure that, you know, every element in this atmosphere, in this environment is, you know, in the exact balance with the other and in a certain kind of proportion, let me say. That's why it's very hard. It's very hard to control so many elements, let me say, all right, in a certain environment. All right. So I hope you understood what that means. And let's move on to the second question. How is a greenhouse different from a biosphere? You guys, a greenhouse is an environment that us human beings create for what? For plants to live in, okay? And usually what we do is that we help plants live in such an environment when it's like, you know, really too cold outside. You know, during the winter, we create that environment, right? Because the weather in general is like too cold for plants to live in. So we create an environment for plants to live in. We have, you know, a good amount of sunlight, you know, which enables these plants to live, you know, and, you know, stay alive, let me say. There is water in a greenhouse, right? We human beings take out waste from a greenhouse. We provide the plants in the greenhouse with fertilizers or, you know, necessary, you know, things that plants need, right? Yeah. So the difference basically is, you know, a greenhouse kind of, you know, gives and takes with, you know, an outside environment, which is Earth, okay? But when it comes to a biosphere, that is not possible. We need to have, you know, elements in the biosphere, all elements in the biosphere. What does that mean? Like within this biosphere, we have to get rid of waste. Within the biosphere, there has to be a way where we, where there is water available or where water is available, okay? We, within this biosphere, need to have, you know, a way where every element gives and takes, you know, and the result is, you know, this kind of balance between elements in the biosphere, okay? So basically this is it. So probably the only thing that is allowed, guys, to enter from outside, you know, when it comes to a biosphere is probably sunlight. Other than that, nothing else should be, you know, depended on to come from outside. Otherwise, then it's no longer going to be an environment, or let me say where, you know, it is, you know, complete and so will not break down. Let's take a look at 3. Explain why the Earth is a biosphere. It's a biosphere because it has living, let me say, creatures, you know, on it, such as us, such as animal life, such as, you know, microcosmic life, right? Yeah. So, and, you know, these beings, these creatures, you know, live and depend on all the many elements, let me say, that are on Earth, and they don't need any other element besides the sun, you know, coming out of the biosphere, right? So everything they need is in this environment, which is, you know, Earth, okay? Like the air that they take in, okay, is from the biosphere, which is Earth. The food, the drink, let me say whatever kind of, you know, liquid or they need is from the Earth, and everything else is from the Earth. The only thing, like I said, is the, you know, the sunlight, which is from, you know, the sun. All right. Other than that, everything is from this biosphere, which is Earth. That's why it is considered a biosphere. All right. And let's say when it comes to waste, you know, Earth has its way in getting rid of the waste, right? Sometimes there are other creatures that depend on the waste as what? As food, or as, you know, something essential for them to live on, right? Yeah. Okay, so let's move on to 4. How does Dr. O'Neill, I think I mentioned Dr. O'Neill in yesterday's recording, so I hope, guys, if you did not watch my recording, go ahead and watch it. It'll be easier on you to understand these questions, all right? How does Dr. O'Neill think that we will solve the energy shortage? Because Dr. O'Neill said that if we build biospheres and take them to space, okay, these biospheres will collect solar energy and will send them where? To Earth. So biospheres also that are taken to space could be, let me say, a kind of, let me say element or thing that could send energy to Earth, all right? Even if we don't make use of them as, you know, places where human beings can really live on and stay there forever, okay? So go back to the text, guys. It's in the text, it's mentioned. Then we have question 5. Why can we learn about our environment from a biosphere? Because, why can we learn about our environment from a biosphere? Because biospheres are built in a way where they are similar to Earth. They look like Earth, okay? They are an environment which is supposed to support, you know, human life, basically, okay? And this is what Earth does, all right? And if something goes wrong in a biosphere, that means, you know, we can learn how things might go wrong, you know, on our Earth, all right? Like if we have less gas than we need, you know, let me say the environment will break down in the biosphere. And this is the same when it comes to Earth, okay? So that's why, like I told you guys, that's why we have lots of sicknesses and illnesses now. This is just a sign that our Earth, unfortunately, or Earth is breaking down, honestly speaking, guys, all right? It's the beginning of a kind of breakdown. And let's hope this does not happen, and we kind of work on balancing the elements, you know, on Earth. All right. We have question 6 right now, as you can see. What happened when people moved into the Arizona biosphere? Okay, so basically I said that, you know, there was a biosphere built by, let me say, scientists in Arizona, all right? And I showed you the picture. It's like the first picture, you know, in the lesson. That's, you know, that was a picture of a biosphere that is in Arizona or built in Arizona. And guess what? That biosphere, you know, had like 4 women and 4 men living in it. And basically what happened is that, you know, they needed help from outside. So it seems that the biosphere broke down. What did they need help with? They did not have enough oxygen, okay? They had so much CO2. That is, you know, that bad gas that we human beings, you know, if we have, you know, a large amount of in our environment, it will cause lots of sicknesses and diseases, and it will affect us, you know, in a very bad way, right? It's a gas that can kill us if it is too much, let me say, in our environment, right? So that's what happened. Their environment, their biosphere broke down, and so they had to open up the door. They had to reach out and come out, let me say, because if, you know, they had the door closed, you know, they would have died. the men and women in the Arizona biosphere. So from that, we can tell that, let me say that biosphere was not a biosphere that could be taken to space, because if this issue happened in space, they wouldn't be able to open up the door, they would just have suffered and died. Would you like to live in a biosphere on Mars? Why or why not? So this depends on you. You tell me. For me, guys, honestly speaking, I would never want to live on a biosphere because, the best biosphere, which is created by God, is Earth, and we can barely survive on it. So how about a biosphere made by the creations of God, people, I mean? I would never want to, put myself in such a risky situation. Why leave what is original and go to what is manufactured and man-made? I would love to stay on Earth and live on this planet that God built for us, the best biosphere ever. But, you might have an opinion on this, which is different, and you might want to, you might be a risky person, we cannot say no to risky people. All right, so guys, would anybody like to live on a biosphere in space instead of living on Earth? Hello, guys, anybody? No, we're all satisfied with Earth? Okay, that's great. Guys, you see the main idea questions? Remember, I told you guys about this before. In order to, let me say, know what the main idea is, we need to work or think about the first line in each paragraph. I do have the, no here, meaning that this is not included, but we can still learn a lot from this. We just want to do one of them and that's it, okay? What is the main idea in paragraph 4, lines 30 to 35? Let's just take a look, 30 to 35. Paragraph 4, 30 to 35. All right. Okay, so the Earth itself is the best example of a real biosphere. Nothing important enters except sunlight, and nothing leaves as waste except some heat. Everything in the Earth's environment needs to be in balance. If we destroy that balance, the system will break down. So what is this paragraph all about? Okay, it's all about, the main idea is that, a biosphere such as Earth, does not allow anything to leave it, generally speaking, besides sunlight, or enter it besides sunlight. So a biosphere is an environment where things are in balance with each other. Nothing comes from outside and nothing goes outside of it besides what's sunlight. Okay, this is what a biosphere is, and a good example, or the best example on a biosphere, is Earth. Okay, all right, and this cause and effect question is not important. We just want to finish up the rest of the exercises that we already have, guys. So let me just have this, page while we do the final exercise. So this is the biosphere, the Arizona biosphere, and it's on the first page. All right, so let's take a look at page 175, guys. I don't have it on the screen, but you have the books at home. So you open up page 175. We still have how many exercises to go? We have 3 exercises to go. We'll do them now and we'll end this unit, and no need for extra recordings, right? Verbs and nouns. So we have verbs on the right, on the right we have nouns, I'm sorry, and verbs on the left. And it says here, many English words are used as both a verb and a noun. Use 10 of these examples in sentences using some verbs and some nouns. So sometimes we have words in English which are both verbs and nouns. How do we know that it's a verb then, and that it's a noun, since the spelling is the same? So we know because of where it is in the sentence, okay? So if it's like after the subject, it's a verb. But let's suppose we begin our sentence with it, the word, or it's followed, it follows, the verb. So then it's going to be a noun in that case, right? Yeah. So we have the word balance, balance and balance. So balance, the first one on the left, should be a verb. So what do you say? Something like, I balanced the ball on my finger. Sometimes, you know, some people put balls on their fingers, you know, like people who are really good with tricks, right? So I balanced. Here it's a verb, balance. The ball on my finger. So everything on earth is in equal balance. Here balance is a noun. Balance معناها توازن. All right, the second kind. Move on to the word crash. You might want to put it now as a verb. Well, how can you put it on the verb? As a verb, I'm sorry. You can say he crashed his car. Crash معناها تصادم, guys. All right. So it could be as a verb. He crashed his car. هو صدم سيارته, right? And crash اللي هي عملية الاصطدام as a noun, huh? The crash was the crash. See, it's a noun here. How do I know it's a noun? Because it followed, you know, it follows the crash was powerful. عملية الاصطدام كانت قوية. The crash was powerful. So guys, like I said, how do we solve the problem when the same word is a verb and a noun at the same time? The same word, same spelling, same everything. How do I know it's a verb? You know it's a verb because of its position and how it is used, all right? So you have to look at the context clues, like what's before it, what's after it, okay? And the word itself sometimes might have some changes, you know? So take a look at that. Now, the next word is force. You can say, my dad forced me. My mom forced me. Force أجبر, guys. My mom forced me to go to the party. Sometimes, you know, you don't like going to parties. You don't like visiting your relatives. And then your mom says, no, you gotta go. Go ahead, put on your clothes and let's go visit your uncle or your relative or something of that kind. So you say, my mom forced me to go to the party. My mom forced me to visit my relatives and I really did not want to. So forced me is a verb here. Huh? So you can say that sometimes you can use it as a noun. The force, like the power of the, let me say, the car accident was great, was strong. The, got the idea? Yeah. So, like I said, guys, as a noun, it could be like before the verb or after the verb as an object and so on. The word design, okay, design is very popular. We might say something like, the engineered house. Got the idea? Or the design was beautiful. Tasmim here, okay? So that's just how you work on these sentences, okay? I'm not gonna do them all. You have to do the rest. Like I said, I'm gonna send you a file where I give you examples on all of them and show you how you can use each one of them, okay? So don't worry, maybe by tonight or tomorrow, you'll have them, in your e-learning file, all right? So, look for this exercise. But like I said, we have the words escape. Escape means yahrub أو هرب, in the past, escaped. أو كاسم as a noun عملية الهروب. All right? So party, حفلة, أو احتفل أو يحتفل. All right? So it could be a verb, it could be a noun. Fear, fear إذا كانت فعل we say يخاف, أو خاف. But fear ممكن معناها الخوف. Right? As a noun كاسم. Harm as a verb means to harm, like means to hurt. يؤذي, and harm الأذى as a noun كاسم, right? Bother, to bother somebody, right? He bothered me, right? That is يزعج. And bother عملية الإزعاج. Whistle, whistle means to بالعربي guys يعني يصفر عملية تصفير, right? وكاسم عملية التصفير. خلينا نقول صفرة مثلا، يعني طلع صوت بفمه واللي تصفير. You guys know that. knock on the door. He knocked on the door يعني دق الباب، طرق الباب احنا بنقول. alright. knock اللي هي عملية الطرق كمان ممكن تكون. طبعا like I said guys, it depends on the place of the word in the sentence for us to decide whether it's a verb or a noun. Okay? And I've spoken about that several times, and I've told you how you can distinguish a noun from a verb based on the context, okay? Now we want to move on to exercise G, noun substitutes. This is a very popular, exercise. So take a look at page 70. I have my book open. Do you have yours? Page 170, line 26. Line 26. And we're supposed to know what it refers to. So let's listen to me, guys. A biosphere in space will have to have its own system to provide water that can be used and reused. It refers to what? It refers to a biosphere in space, okay? Now, the second, pronoun, it should be on page 170 and it's in line 41. So listen to my sentence so that we can, know what is needed here. So Dr. Gerard K. O'Neill, a famous physicist at the university, has said that in the future we will have satellites in space to produce solar energy and send it to the Earth. Solar energy, we're talking about solar energy. Let's see. So yes, it here refers to solar energy. It will be too expensive to continually send people. The process of, sending people here, okay? The second it, that's what I'm talking about, okay? So it depends on which it they're talking about. Question 3 is is what? Them, line 46. They want us to know what it refers to. There is another interesting reason to build biospheres. We can use them. Them refers to what? Biospheres, okay? And then the last pronoun, which is one, and it's where, guys, in line 53. Let me read that for you. So far, only a few experimental biospheres have been built on Earth. One is an example on a biosphere. So one is one of the biospheres, okay? It refers to one biosphere that has been built, because not only one was built, guys, there were like a few, all right? One of the group of biospheres, let's say. So now we want to move on to the last exercise. Hey guys, the last exercise now. So it has to do with articles. Remember what articles are. أدوات إيش guys? التعريف, the, a, and, or nothing. What do we put before these pronouns? Let's see. Sentence number 1. The Environmental Research Laboratory, where at the University of Arizona, is one place that designs biospheres. Why do we have the Environmental Research Laboratory? Because that's the name, that's the title of the lab, guys. It needs the. And we say the University of Arizona, the University of Yarmouk. So when we talk about a university in that way, when you give it the title in that way, the is essential, is a must. Okay? We say the University of Jordan. Okay? So the is basic to the title here. But when we talk about biospheres, we don't need to put the before, because we're talking about biospheres in general. Okay? Now, sentence 2, listen to it. A greenhouse is a closed environment except for the sun's heat entering through the glass. So we need a before greenhouse, because we're giving an example, all right, on a greenhouse in general, and that's what we do. And we want to describe it as a closed environment, an environment. But we put here because we have closed before it, okay? For the sun's heat, we're talking about something specific relating to the sun, which is its heat, okay? The sun's heat, so we need the. Now, sentence 3, the earth itself is the best example, okay, of a real biosphere, okay? So when we have singular, we have a real biosphere. The best example. Why? Because it's like we have superlative. And whenever we talk about superlative, we need the, okay? 4, everything in the Earth's environment needs to be in balance in general. So far, only a few, okay? So with few, we need a. Why? Because we're positive. In English, sometimes we say few, sometimes we say a few. If we are positive means what, guys? Ijabiyin, huh? We use a few, not few. So we want to be positive here. A few experimental biospheres have been built on Earth in general. Now, 6, oxygen levels fell, and the crew. We're talking about something specific. So we read the lesson on biospheres, and we're talking here about a specific crew. Remember the 4 men and the 4 women? So when we want to talk about them, we got to say the. Why? Because that means a specific, let me say, thing, let me say. Here we're talking about specific people. And whenever we talk about specific people that we, me, you, all of us know what we're talking about, we use the. Oxygen levels fell and the crew had to get help. Help means in general from anybody. And supplies, it's plural and in general, so we don't put any kind of article before it. Now, the last sentence is what? 7. Learning how a biosphere, because we're talking about, it's singular and we're talking about it in general. So whenever something is singular and we talk about it in general, we use a before it, okay? So learning how a biosphere works is one of the most, why the here, important things we can do. The most, because superlative, whenever, remember guys, whenever we say the most beautiful, the most adventurous, this way of writing, which is the superlative, okay, we use the as part of its structure. The most beautiful girl, the most amazing movie, and so on. So there's the part of this, structure. And we are done, guys, okay, with the lesson. No need for recording anything, thank God. And guys, like I said, this is our last day. Make sure that you cover the material, and I wish you all the best, okay? Let me stop recording and let me listen to you if you have any questions. شباب وصبايا، هيك بنكون خلصنا مادتنا ل 105، خلصناها كلياتها، اوكي؟ ما ضل إشي. وانا هلا هيك am I still recording؟ والله بفكر حالي اني انا خلصت التسجيل ولسه بسجل، عم بسجل.